Hello and welcome back to Rogue Trader. I'm Shadow Coast and welcome to the channel. We are continuing our playthrough as an Astra Militarum Soldier, uh, basically a range specialist here. You can see that we're stacking ballistic skills. We're going to want some perception and agility. So this agility will impact kind of our initiative and dodge chance, and then perception will help us and also ensure that our enemies can't dodge our hits. This will be kind of critical. We want to land our hits. You can take a look at here. We're kind of doing a classic build. When we come to talents, we are putting in our Fortress World benefits. So we're going to buff up Never Stop Shooting. So effectively, we're looking to shoot multiple times. And we're going to have to make a decision on kind of where we're going to specialize. Right now, we have a long last and a shotgun. Um, but we might want to go into last guns or maybe bolters or maybe kind of heavy weapons. So we're gonna have to decide here. Our strength's only 30, so we have to be cognizant of that. But we are going to be a range specialist. And just real quick to kind of cap this off, when we're looking at our build, we're going to be primary Iconoclast, so we're going to try to take it to level 5 or at least level 4, and then we're probably going to go up to level 2 dogmatic. We're going to stay away from heretical. Partly this is driven by our backstory, being an Astra Militarum commander, Imperial Guard. We actually do respect life because we've seen it thrown away, but we also are in the 40K universe here. We know chaos, and we do believe in the Emperor, so we're going to keep that in mind. So we are continuing Act 1 here. We did gain Cassia, who is an officer, and we are going to keep exploring. We still have some things to do here. There's nothing there. We are going to go over to... Let's go over here. So, Master Vigdis, Lord Captain, there is some commotion in the officer's deck. The Lady Navigator has left her quarters and is currently in the wardroom, where uninitiated crew members are shunning her in terror. Perhaps you should find out what brought Cassia to the deck. Oh boy. Already some issues with our navigator, Cassia. I'm sure everyone's frightened of her, so we shall see. Now, one item to note, we do have the some special items and a special ship here, so we'll see that once we get
Lord
enter
Captain,
space combat,
my
which
apologies.
I think will be in a little bit.
I did not notice your entrance.
The Lady Navigator is engrossed in perusing the dusty tombs, which appear to have been neglected by the other officers. Be it because of sloth or dullness of mind, when you walk closer, Cassie looks up at you. It pleases me that you are addressing the life aboard the ship. We're going to be nice.
Compared to Urak 5, your ship is a boundless world of unfamiliar hues. And yet, the abundance of bright colors can at times be wearisome on the eyes. The bridge and the decks are so clamorous. In my search for a place of quiet, I was fortunate to come upon this islet of serenity filled with rare tomes and practically devoid of color.
The events that took place on Uruk 5 must have shaken you greatly. Are you
One
well?
should not underestimate the navigators of House Orselio, Lord Captain. Like a shawl of pale smoke, a faint malaise hangs upon my shoulders, but it will not be the slightest hindrance to my duty to humanity, and my duty to you.
Cassie's response is reserved and pointedly decorous, clearly intended to create a distance between you. Well, let's see if we can close that distance. Your only attendant is your valet from Uruk 5. Do my servants not measure up to your standards?
No, no, it is not that at all, Lord Captain. It is just that Uwe is quite capable of carrying out his duties by himself. He is well accustomed to my whims and preferences.
Interesting. Good to know. Perception test succeeded. Cassia cringes ever so slightly, adjusts the adornment on her forehead, and awkwardly hides her clawed fingers in the folds of her clothes. The unnatural appearance of navigators often becomes a topic of gossip among lowly servants and officers alike. It is unsurprising, then, that Cassia prefers the company of one who is used to how she looks. You can kind of see her talons, if that's what we're calling them. Let's look. I see you're fond of reading.
Oh, this. I found this fascinating read on one of the shelves, and I must say, it has caught my eye. its every chapter is written in verse. I find it so beautiful and enrapturing. Urak 5 had a vast archive of its own, of course. Although most of the works within had to do with scholarly disciplines of some sort or another. Only in my sparse moments of respite was I allowed to escape into the pages of more embellished works.
I hope that you have had ample time to calm yourself in your powers. That seems a little aggressive, but we don't have another choice.
There are people on this ship who are far more impulsive and dangerous to others, and far less devoted to the God Emperor than a herald of the Navis nobility. But I did not need your words to see the shades of umber unease that whirl around your subjects whenever I am near. Were I not acquainted with such a reaction, I could have found their behavior and your question just now insulting. Lord Captain, would you kindly explain to me why you are pestering me with these questions? Inquiring about my mood and my needs, showing an interest in the books I am enjoying? You are behaving as if you possessed a shred of fellow feeling for one such as I. I beg your pardon, Lord Captain. That was no way for a navigator to conduct herself.
Oh, interesting. We're coming on strong here. I'm beginning to think, Lady Cassie, that feelings I have for you. Um, we're not gonna go. Well, you guys let me know. Why not? We're gonna try to romance her. I think she might be romanceable. I don't know, but um, I'm gonna probably regret this decision. I'm beginning to think, Lady Cassia, that feelings I have for you are more complicated than common sympathy.
Lord Captain?
Cassie looks up in surprise.
So many colorful sparks are flaring to life and dimming all around you. It is a veritable ocean of emotions. There are so many of them that I can barely see the pure white sincerity of your words. Please forgive me. I cannot even understand myself right now. Your words and attention have reminded me of life on the station. Of Theobald and Felek. I do not understand. They were merely the keepers of Urak 5. So, why do memories of those two make me feel a strange heaviness here?
She places a hand on her breastplate. Alright, so she clearly isn't good with emotion.
At the same time, I find myself overwhelmed with new excitement and anticipation. At last, I have set foot outside my familiar walls, and into a world that I have only seen before in the pages of books. Your ship alone is a treasure trove of remarkable artifacts and curiosities. And just imagine the things that await beyond, but... My delight must seem childish to you, surely. In your heart, you must be finding all this quite amusing.
Alright, we're gonna lean into it. Let me know what you think in the comments. I would not dare make fun of a lady's feelings, especially not one who has captivated me since I first set eyes on her. I didn't think I'd go this direction, but here we go.
Words like that, Lord Captain, could easily be misconstrued. You should familiarize yourself with some of the works in your
Oh,
library
snap.
to learn the appropriate manner of conversing with a lady.
She's checking me. Cassie struggling to maintain an expression of polite indifference. Cassie covers her burning face and swiftly exits the room. Alright, well, we might have planted the seed, or I might just lose our navigator early, and then we are totally screwed and stuck. So, there we go. Let's see here. Wait, there is... What's over here? What are we? Goods. What is she reading? Let's take a look. Secrets of gallant conduct. How to express your feelings to a noble lady. Oh! An admirer who seeks the favor of a fine lady is well advised to maintain pointed courtesy and finesse in his every deed. An honorable admirer will never defile a noble lady's ears with crude or indecent words, and neither will he allow himself to conduct that himself conduct that could besmirch her honor and dignity. All right. Remember that the flower bud of true feelings takes time to blossom. Patience, loyalty, and impeccability in adhering to the decorums of the nobility is key to earning the lady's favorable disposition. That's good to know. I, after all, am a Imperial Guard, a product of the Imperial Guard, so I don't know how refined we'll find ourselves. Although I believe we led a decent contingent of people, so maybe we should be a little more refined in our mannerisms. I kind of feel like we're a little bit more on the gritty side than the nobility side of things. And I'm just gonna check myself. What decisions did we make? Do we do biography, reputation, archetypes? Maybe here we go. Fortress planets are where entire populaces immersed in warfare, so definitely warfare focus. The Astra Militarum, commonly known as the Imperial Guard, is the primary fighting force of the Imperium. You have served as one of the commanders of the Astra Militarum Regiment, commanding thousands and winning battles in the name of the God Emperor. All right, so we've probably had brushes and interactions with nobility, but it's not so the same as say like some of the other origin stories. Our feat of greatness, we defeated the ruinous powers and a disastrous military campaign that we're still recovering from. All right, good to know. Let me see here. We can interact with some attendants potentially, but we want to get on our way. And we're going to kind of swing around here and go in this direction and hit these things. So we're going to head over here, visit oh my goodness. Lord Captain, sorry to disturb you. Big just pauses as if listening to something. It's pandemonium outside the bridge gate. One of the officers seems to be demanding an audience with you in person. I think I hear Master Wisarian's voice. In any case, I wanted you to warn you in advance. My goodness, we can't even get to the second location without the ship falling apart. What is going on? Alright, let me just check something here. Um, Here we go. What is up? What is going on? Alright. Abelard. The everyday sounds of the bridge are disrupted by voices raised in anger. Abelard's voice is loudest of all. This is not the conduct of an officer. These are the antics of a highborn brat out of on a lark. Explain yourself, Lieutenant. The young woman standing before you, Abelard strives with all her might not to quail under the onslaught of her superior's anger. She falters, but then manages to look him in the eye and say, I apologize, sir, but I must speak to the Lord Captain. Very well, Lieutenant. You may address the Lord Captain, not least because I see you have already seen fit to disturb him. Your unauthorized appearance on the bridge and display of belligerence towards a higher-ranking officer will be logged on your personal file without delay. Lord Captain, Lieutenant Arilla Vent, requesting permission to speak. Vent falls silent and adds rashly, on a matter of extreme importance and urgency. Alright, we're going to go with number 2 here. You may speak, but I want to hear a report, not a shouting match. Having two officers bickering in full view of the bridge is unacceptable. I am sorry, Lord Captain. I thought that drastic times call for drastic measures. Vent exclaims hotly. The matter cannot wait. Any minute now an assault unit will be dispatched to the lower decks on orders to crush the workers' strike by any means necessary. But I am convinced that this step is unwarranted and that the crisis itself was provoked by the actions of one of the senior officers. Vent is almost trembling with tension as she delivers her speech, her face extremely pale. Abelard, in no hurry to intervene, lets out a skeptical huff. Lord Captain, I urge you to investigate the actions of Seneschal Wisarian and intervene in what's happening on the lower decks, because very soon we will have a mutiny or a massacre on our hands. Vent reels off the last words as though she knows them by heart. She has clearly been preparing to say them for some time. When she is finished, she casts an ancient glance at Abelard, then at you. Alright, let's get some more information. How did this all start? The situation could boil over at any minute, so I'll give you the condensed version. It all began when the enforcers found a cultist amulet on the body of someone who's been killed in a drunken brawl. We reported it up the chain immediately, arranged for a cleansing rite to be performed, and opened an investigation. No heretics have been found alive, but the search has brought tensions between enforcers and workers to a head. Alright, where does the Seneschal fit into this? I shall explain, Abelard intones grimly. I beg you hurry, time is running out. I will not hurry. Since my competence is under scrutiny, I shall speak for as long as I see fit. There is an established order to the way things are done on this ship, and one of the pillars of that system is that the rogue trader's attention is not distracted by trivial matters. It is the Seneschal's role to ensure that. I've always handled internal problems myself, so of course, when I received information about cultists hiding in the lower decks, I took the matter in hand. So long as I live, not one of the vermin who murdered Theodora von Valentius will find refuge on her ship. Well, it's our ship now, but that's okay. You're still adjusting, Abelard. You were far too heavy-handed, Seneschal Syrian. Arrests, interrogations, mass punishments for entire sectors. It has driven the people to a brink. Now there is a strike on the lower decks. In Depot 4, to be precise. 3 workers' clans are involved, but many more are passively supporting them. The situation could degenerate into an all-out insurrection. But when I reported my concerns, the only response I received was an order to dispatch an assault unit and crush the strike with maximum force. Alright, what is Depot 4? Depot 4 is one of the poorest sectors in the lower decks. It is home to the clans of general laborers. They are not as valuable to the ship as the families who have served in specialized systems for generations. They are an easily replaceable resource and one which is now more besides given succor to cultists and minions of the arch enemy. Well, we are playing Iconoclast here. I know you're more dogmatic, Abelard. Oh no, I thought he was an Iconoclast. We'll check that in a second. Depot 4 is poor and troubled, but at worst, that means drunken fights and illegal rot gut brew. We have handled the workers of Depot 4 in the past. We would have done so again if the crackdown on Depot 4 hadn't been so harsh. And another important point to bear in mind, the problem was not limited to this sector. It is located on one of the most populated lower decks, and everything that happens there has a knock-on effect on all neighboring sectors. Alright, Abelard, what do you have to say to all this? I'm curious. I see no need to add anything. I acted within the remit of my authority, guided exclusively by the best interests of your protectorate and your personal safety. If you wish to confirm the rectitude of my actions for yourself, I have no objections. For my part, I urge the Lord Captain to go down to the lower deck, stop the assault unit, and speak directly to the people. You will see they are not lying or harboring heretics. That way you will stop the uprising before it begins. Alright, we're going to back him up, but then verify. I'm certain the Seneschal was acting within his authority, but I will verify the soundness of his decision for myself. Throne preserve you, Lord Captain. I thank you for your support. I didn't tacitly give you my support, but again, that's okay. An enterprise bordering on sophomoric, but please yourself, Lord Captain. However, I categorically insist I escort you. Alright, we're going to bring everyone in case we do find heretics. Always be prepared. This is, after all, the Warhammer 40,000 universe where things go to shit pretty darn quick. Now, before I do anything, if I can, I just... Nope. Where is this? You're Iconoclast 2, my man. I'm a little surprised, the value of human life. I mean, I guess Iconoclast is, like, within reason here. This is the Warhammer universe, I guess. So it's all relative. But let's get going. Wow, nobles from the upper decks down here to see us. Hey, it's Wassyrian. Take that, scum. What did you just throw at us? An acid? Did you just throw acid? Abelard reflexively wipes the sweat from his brow in a startlingly human gesture. In a telling one, a rare moment where he allows his age and wariness to show through his armor-like veneer of self-assurance. The lower decks are a source of endless problems. Sometimes I dearly regret we cannot replace all the locals with servitors. We need to get to the bottom of this. Let's keep moving. It doesn't have any negative effects. I am kind of curious, like, you don't disrespect a senior officer.
Always keep your eye on the prize.
Source, lower deck rabble. What's this guy doing? Is he sleeping on the job? I will take this stuff. Can we talk to him? You receive bonus movement points and attack per turn. They're all, I guess, on edge, maybe?
I
Alright, I
always
don't
have a
want to have to
backup
kill
plan.
all of them. Let's, where are we going? Greetings, Your Grace. Oh, what's over here? Vent. The sounds of a heated discussion reverberate through the ship's bays. Lieutenant Virilla, vent of the ship's enforcers, barring the path of the heavily built assault unit officer. And judging by their expression and tone, the standoff has dragged on for some time already, now has reached a boiling point. I have my orders to put an end to the unrest and purge this sector. You can take your orders and shove them. This is my deck and my sector. There are only 3 people who can waltz in here without my express permission. The first officer, the rogue trader, and the Emperor himself. So all my lessons fall on so not all my lessons fall on deaf ears. Abelard mutters in a crabby approval. He does not clarify whether he means Lieutenant Vent or the officer looming over her, or both. Your Lordship, noticing the 2 officers snap to attention and salute, their subordinates following suit in a matter of moments. Or a moment later. What's the situation? Your Lordship, my people have locked down the bay where the strikers are, including their leaders. We have the situation under control as far as resources allow. We encountered some locals on our way here. Their conduct was outrageous. They even tried throwing things at us. Vent pales slightly. The people are getting desperate, clearly. They saw the assault unit and they decided there is nothing left to lose. I mean, I apologize, Lord Captain. It is outrageous. I'm sure the people simply didn't recognize you. It wouldn't have occurred otherwise. We will deal with them once the current situation is resolved. Alright. We are going to say, I want to speak with the strikers. Abelard mouths twist, but he restrains himself and says nothing. Right you are, Lord Captain. Allow me to wish you good luck. Hope gleams in Lieutenant Vent's eyes. Alright, we are going to try to prevent a bloodbath. We are kind of Iconoclast. I don't know if we're going to have like a decision here. A dozen pairs of eyes stare apprehensively at you. The people before you are typical inhabitants of the lower deck. You take in their simple clothing, crude weapons, and faces that display varying levels of mutation, from a barely discernible to the strange to the outright grotesque. Alright, so these are the 3 faction leaders, I'm assuming. They're all bowing, that's good. Rivet. A whisper passes through the crowd and you detect a mixture of fear, astonishment, and joy in their reactions. Finally, 3 people break away from the crowd, an elderly woman and 2 men. This must be their leaders. They bow clumsily before you. Well, Lord Captain, you have come down to us. Tell me what's troubling you. Why are you striking? Striking? That's news to us, your lordship, says a tall, thin man in worker's garb. All we're doing is asking questions, saying what we think. Shut up, Rivet, snaps the old woman who turns her hostile dark eyes on you. Here's the deal, your lordship. Your damn enforcers are all over us down here. They say they're looking for cultists. One wrong word and they're reaching for their batons. If they want to punish someone, they turn off the heating to whole bays for a week at a time, so we get sick and freeze. In my clan, 2 little ones died from inflammation in their lungs, all because of those enforcers. Ooh, that's not good. The old woman spits on the floor and rubs at the spittle with the toe of her worn-out shoe. Argenta does not interrupt the workers, but you see sadness well in her eyes when the children's deaths are mentioned. She quietly whispers a requiem prayer and makes a sign over herself. It's all true. Vent is the only enforcer who stood up for us. It's clear as day who had a mother from the lower decks and who grew up amidships and has no fellow feelings towards us. The grim man with a scarred face throws up his arms. Your lordship, we are no villains here. We're honest workers, your servants. We've plotted no disorder. We went on strike openly, and now we've got guns pointed at us. All we're doing is asking to be allowed to work in peace without being harassed. All right. The persecution started apropos of nothing, you say? I was told that one of you was found in possession of a cultist amulet, and that there are heretics hiding here. A cultist amulet? What's that? The gewgaw they found on the dead drunkard? If it was something of evil or forbidden, we sure didn't know. The enforcers just say they were looking for heretics among us. Anyone obstructing their investigation would be punished. But how could there be heretics here? We know our own people. There have been no new faces around. Definitely not, and if there were, we'd be the first to report them. And for this amulet, or whatever it is, they took it off a dead body. There are no cultists still breathing in our sector, that's for sure. But when that fight broke out, some enterprising folks looted the body. The boots they came back with. No one ever tread these decks in boots so fine, I can tell you that. Seems to me these cultists have better commanders than us. Oh yeah, those boots were really fine, and there was no harm in taking them, right? As for the amulet, it must have been pocketed by someone who didn't know any better. We don't need any amulets around here. We all worship the Emperor, and when we're working, we bow down before the machine spirits of the large and small transformers and the servo motor. The same way my grandfather was taught 100 years ago by a tech priest who came calling. Believe us, your lordship, we are people of faith. Naive children, were you taught at an early age about the dangers of the arch enemy's creations? Were you warned that any unfamiliar object could be one of them? We were told, Holy Sister, but it was so long ago. The last time we saw a confessor in our sector, it was just after I'd had my third little one. That is regrettable, but you cannot lay the burden of leading a righteous life on the shoulders of the Holy Fathers. Who will you blame when beasts crawl out of those amulets you stole from the heretics? The Holy Father who was not there, or the scavenger who brought evil down on himself and his neighbors? Abelard, do you have anything to add? I authorize the use of all necessary measures to locate chaos worshippers hiding in this sector. The specific steps taken by the officers were not reported to me. Abelard frowned, clearly disgruntled at having to explain himself in the workers' presence. Nevertheless, I am certain that their actions were justified. Cultists are no drunkards, stevedores. They are the enemy and a threat to the ship. Neutralizing them demands decisive action. Alright, we were attacked on the way here. How do you explain that? Here's an explanation for you. The people have been pushed to their limit and now they're lashing out. As if we don't know why these top deck units are being sent here, like the one that the lieutenant won't let pass. Our clans are all inside the bay that's been sealed off, but the lower decks are big. I'm sure there are some people who've had just about enough. We're getting it all from all sides. The soldiers have encircled the ones who've risen up. A death squad just arrived. No wonder folks are lashing out. Awareness has succeeded. Their words seem sincere to you. Their body language and the glances traded between them reveal that the news of the attack was a shock to them. Alright, what changes do you want? Let's see what they're going to ask for here. When you look at this, the exalted Lord Captain himself asking us, build your rats what we want. Well, here's what. We want you to rein in your damn enforcers, to quit turning off the heat, and to stop battering everything that moves. No, that's not it. We want enforcers gone from here. We want to be armed. Give us arms and we'll govern ourselves. We'll defend ourselves if these cultists do show their faces. I've been leader of my clan for 20 years now. Getting rid of those club-loading thugs can only improve things around here. I don't know about that. You've gone too far, old Nan. They'll never let the maggots on the lower decks live without the enforcers breathing down their necks. They probably even insist on enforcers on the upper decks too. As for weapons, what do we need them for? Before the first day's out, we'll have someone shooting their neighbor out of stupidity or drunkenness. We don't need that. If the enforcers stop hassling us, that'll be enough. In return, we'll find scavengers who rob the cultist bodies and we'll talk to them, one lower decker to another. If there are any more of those damned amulets about, we'll hand them over to the enforcers ourselves. Alright, Stager, I like your thinking. You speak for yourself and your clan, and I'll speak for me and mine. I don't want empty gestures, I want real change. They'll promise us the world now, but as soon as the Anointed One turns his back, these brutes will be on us even harder than before, all because we dared to speak out. The tall worker's eyes dart between the two arguing leaders. Every few seconds he opens his mouth as if planning to agree, but each time he falls silent, simply making a few vague noises of approval. Alright. Thoughts, Abelard? The story about going scavenging for boots and actually picking up a heretical amulet doesn't convince me. These people are moments away from rebelling and possibly becoming minions of the arch enemy. We must not give them what they want. Even if they did acquire something innocently purely out of their own stupidity, that does not mean they are not tainted with corruption. What begins as petty thievery can turn to a far graver problem. I have seen it before. Abelard fakes Starkins momentarily. In my second war, there was a sergeant in the Imperial Guard regiment that was stationed nearby. The sergeant took an ordinary pocket knife from the body of a heretic, and this whole unit lost their lives for it. When they finally managed to break into the barracks, they found not a single survivor, only the pocket knife, which had grown through all the rows of beds like a metal choking vine. So when it comes to scavengers, malcontent strikers, or whatever they'll turn into next, my verdict is simple. Give them no quarter. All right. Let's see here. Um, uh, we're not going to give them weapons. So we're going to go with this one. We're going to try to use coercion and see if it works. Chance 80%. Spreading anarchy on the ship is the first step towards embracing chaos. So it looks like you have 80% value with Cassia, likelihood of chance. So spreading anarchy in the ship is the first step towards embracing chaos. Putting weapons into untrained hands would be even worse. What's more, the enforcers are needed to maintain oversight and order. Withdraw those demands and we'll consider the rest. He failed. Tall workers they call flinches nervously under your gaze, but he casts a glance at the old woman and says nothing. I don't like seeing the clans of Depot 4 at odds with each other, but I agree with the Lord Captain. I won't demand disbanding of the enforcers. The old woman's hands cut through the air. I'd rather be gunned down by the enforcers than back down now. They'll have to us all killed anyway sooner or later. Alright, then it's decided. The harassment will end. I expect the clan to have agreed here to assist in locating cultist amulets and weapons. Anyone who refuses will be punished. The woman faces pales, but she merely grits her teeth and spits on the floor again. Sorry, old man, I'm not putting my life and my whole clan's lives on the line because of your stubbornness. We are the most eager to assist. We'll get right to it, Lord Captain. Alright, so we, I believe, avoided bloodshed. And we're going to have to... Let me see here. What do we... Dark Echelons? Essential, we should speak to the Lord Captain. How do we... Can we speak to you?
What advice do you seek?
Is there money to be made?
Alright. Heat sinks.
Did I mention that my
Let us not
whispers tell me
dawdle.
jokes? Jokes that once said
Here,
aloud
some
make your
goods.
eyes bleed and blood curdle. Talk about black comedy.
This ocular implant was a worthwhile investment.
The premonition runs
The
true.
gauge shows that the steam pressure on this pipe is close to maximum average. Does not
Rise
reach.
to the top, or get left in the dust.
Alright, I'm not sure what that does, but we've already... I thought we were going to kind of get to the next
I am
piece
at your
here,
service.
but we haven't even gotten close. Alright, so let's Abelard, stop being expected. The Abelard imperiously dismisses the unit to stand at a distance and addresses you and your other companions. I have an urgent matter to discuss with the Lord Captain. Please give us a moment. Alright. Abelard looks at you, and his last vestiges of restraint vanish. Well, are you pleased with your investigation, Lord Captain? You kowtowed to the disloyal rabble. You believed their lies and showed them leniency. Next time the ship is attacked by cultists, that rabble will welcome them with open arms and allow them to wreak havoc, whatever havoc they like, because they see you as a weak leader. Is that how you see your future at the helm of the Von Valencius' Protectorate? Alright. We're gonna keep on our good side. There is some truth to your criticism. I should say so. Abelard heaves a sigh, but visibly relaxes. You simply needed to trust me. I would have handled the situation myself had you not decided to intervene. Abelard says irascibly. Remember Lord Captain Theodora? Do you think she'd ever set one slippered foot on the lower decks? No, she did not. Such matters were left to myself and the junior officers while she dedicated herself to her grand designs for the Protectorate, as any true strategist and rogue trader ought. Alright, Maybe if Theodora had spent more time on trifling matters, she wouldn't be wound up have wound up dead. There is a new Lord Captain aboard this ship now, and I will not repeat her mistake. Abera looks at you, stunned, and exhales loudly. Then he nods curtly. I commend your decisiveness, but I am uncomfortable with introducing new protocols in the midst of a crisis. And Abelard translates to attention. I lost my temper, Lord Captain, and I believe I ought to explain myself. Abelard speaks slowly, the words not coming easily to him. The prosperity of the Von Valencia's protectorate is not just an empty phrase to me. I left the Imperial Navy for the chance to see it flourish. It was the most momentous decision of my life. I did it because I saw in Lord Captain Theodore's deeds the sign of true greatness. Rogue traders do not simply forge new routes and capture worlds, they create order out of anarchy. That creative impulse was entirely lacking during my time in the military. I see the Iconoclast in him. So I left behind everything I had known, everything my family had known. I come from a long line of officers, and I embarked upon this incredibly reckless venture. Lord Captain Theodora entrusted me with all the concerns she had no time for. She would go off on her flagship for long periods, to distant frontiers on scouting voyages, and the advancement of the entire protectorate rested on my shoulders. And then suddenly, everything that had been built over years and years began to quake, rattling like a flimsy hanger on a seismically active world. One of the senior officers betrayed us all. The rogue trader was killed, and who knows what is happening on the planets. I tell you this honestly without fear of appearing weak. All this has come to a grievous blow to me. I am not panicking or grieving because I cannot allow myself to panic or grieve. I am duty-bound to aid the new rogue trader, to aid you, to find your footing as quickly as possible, and to do that I must insulate you from problems that in the past have been dealt with by tried and tested procedures set out on the ship's regulations. Procedures that were established long ago and have functioned smoothly for decades cannot suddenly be deemed excessive to requirements. Theodora trusted established procedures and died. I won't make... that's a little harsh, I understand, but you need to learn how to respect me as your lord. Captain, that's a little harsh. So the prosperity of the Von Valencia's protectorate is just as important to me. You are the only person who has comprehensive knowledge of how things are run on the ship. I think in the future I'll follow your recommendations. Alright. So I value what Theodora created and trust that the situation is an aberration in the ship's otherwise smooth operation. Since the established procedures are working, I see no reason to change them. We're going to compliment him. So the prosperity of the Von Valencia's protectorate is just as important to me. You're the only person who has comprehensive knowledge of how things are run on the ship. I think in the future I will follow your recommendations. Abelard dips his head in a sign of assent. The shadow of incredible strain, which evidently has been wearing on him for some time, finally lifts from his face. I am glad you see the value in the foundations laid by your illustrious predecessor. Why fix what isn't broken? As for me, I shall endeavor not to cause you any further consternation, Lord Captain. And now, please let us leave the lower decks. If the rogue trader desires to stretch his legs, there are far more suitable places. Alright, so one thing, this is kind of reputation with different factions. I don't think we can see reputations among ourselves. Alright, so with that in mind, we're gonna try to... So originally I wanted to keep these episodes to 30 to 45 minutes. That is so unlikely to happen. So the new goal is to keep it under an hour. But with that in mind, we are going to get to the next location, which is this. So if we look at the journal, the crew suffered, can be wrecked in Minoris. We need to find an engine seer. A matter of utmost importance led the interrogator of the Inquisition, Henrik von Calix, to the Rykadi system. The rotator's duty as lowest over the Imperium is to find the interrogator and aid him in his mission. Since his whereabouts are currently unknown, it may be easier said than done. The prison planetoid of Rykadi system may have caught the interrogator's good attention. Rykadi Philia. So we're going to go to here, but we're not going to run this mission yet. Let's just get teed up so next time we start, should be in a good spot. Alright, the Cronus contains a vast region of space where you will travel between different star systems. In each system, unique events can occur. Yeah, we're going to bring everybody. But then we're going to call this an episode. If you're enjoying this playthrough, please drop a thumbs up and comment. That's a great way to let me know that you're interested in watching more of this playthrough. It does take some effort to record, so I'm playing this game either way. I'm happy to record if people are enjoying it. If you're not enjoying it, you can comment to say, hey, don't waste your time. But if you are enjoying it, let me know. And as always, if you haven't subscribed already and you're interested in supporting the channel, subscribing is a great way to do that. That helps me out, and I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you in future videos. Shadow Coast out.